information, by the way, I need to tell you, and hopefully he'll make it, or maybe he'll call, but hopefully he'll make it. Howard Johnson, who you know works for the Board of Elections, is invited our guest today to talk about what do we need to know this day before and the day of election. You know, when you go to the polls, if you have a problem, what do you need to do? Is there somebody there from the Board of Elections you can address, or do you have to address someone who they hire on to be poll watchers? Is there someone there? There should be a list that contains at each polling site who's in charge. Because you know how some people at the table, they mean well trying to give you information and it's not exactly right. And when it comes to raising a complaint, all of a sudden everybody seems to not know what to do. So that's what we wanted Howard Johnson to talk to us about, and all things particular to what as we begin to those who haven't early voted already, as you go to the polls, what do you need to know? And like I said, he may call us or he may come in. The invite was to come in. He said he would. But also, we're going to talk about the news that's been going on, some incidents we need to talk about. It's happening right here in Buffalo. We're going to also tell you that you need to really take this moment seriously. This ain't no joke. This is not a test. It's not a commercial. It's not a time for you to see what happened. It's time for you to be part of what happened. And again, you can join us at the conversation at 716-837-1112. And, hey, you want to help us fire it up and shake it up, then speak truth when you call us and speak what you know. Don't falsify. We got truth check here.
Checks and balances.
That's right. Look at here. They got everybody's on their thing. They truth check you. So don't be the one to get cut off base.
Look it up.
And I'm gonna shut up because the fellas are here, and of course. I didn't say nothing, but you know who I'm talking about? They moved that mic out of the way. Don't worry, they can still reach it. So I'm gonna shut up and let them. And everybody gonna say who they is or where they at or whatever, how they want to roll it.
Good morning, Buffalo. I'm glad to be here today. It is a pretty important moment. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but I have my experience with my early vote, whatever the case may be, but I think that it was something that's interesting, and I was sharing this with my mom earlier. I hope that as younger people begin to get more and more into that political sphere and start to have more conversations about it, one of the biggest things I recognize, and I'm going to pass that to you in just 1 second, but one of the biggest things I recognize is that we don't have conversations about these things. It's taboo, right? You don't want to talk about it. Don't talk about it at Thanksgiving. Don't talk about it at work. But if we're never talking about it, when are we discoursing? When are we having discussions? When are we sharing ideas about our political beliefs? And I do not believe that a difficult topic has to have a difficult conversation. If we can be civil adults and talk about it, whether you agree with me or not, we all want what's best for the country. We should be talking about politics. That's just my personal belief. But I'm not the only one in the booth.
I don't think people understand. You voted for the first time.
Yeah, I did.
Say that clear.
I said we're gonna talk about it later. I'm gonna get some. I'm seeing open the gift. Open the gift. I was trying to hold it for a surprise. Let them know.
That you voted for the first time. You were legally able. Last time you weren't able to vote.
Yeah, this is my first presidential
election. I got you, man.
He got a little discouraged.
I thought you were gonna stay off the mic. He didn't say it loud. I could just hear it.
I still got to eat dinner though. So whatever you want.
Don't worry.
We got that mama's cooking.
She take care of me.
We got you.
Jim said it. Jim and Murray said it. But Murray, good morning as well. I ain't gonna skip you.
Young man, congratulations on being 18. And beyond 18. How old are you now?
I'm 20 years old now.
Oh, so this your first time voting?
It's my first presidential
election. You didn't vote when you were 18. Oh, so we can talk about that.
There was no presidential election.
Yeah. No, but he still had a right to vote.
Yep.
Yeah, you had the right to vote, and that's some of that stuff gets laid on the side. People don't understand that you can vote when you turn 18. We pushed that in high school to kids to just register and vote. So great that you did vote, just not because of the presidential election, but you voted. Your ancestors will be blessed. and highly favored that you did this. And so I'm just going to come on air and talk about some things, what's happening in the Buffalo public school system, talk about our youth just coming back from Syracuse, meeting Jeffries, going with Howard Johnson and the rest of the team. We took 2 buses all the way to Syracuse on the cheese bus. Thanks, Carrie. But it was a good ride. But we can talk about that and experiences that our youth is doing in our community. Actually getting the young people from 14 to 20 to understand what is your vote and who you voting for. So they met Jeffries, and that was a great experience for them. So we'll be talking about some of that later. And then one thing, I don't know if it's true or not, but he said Quincy Jones passed away.
Yes.
Yep.
So we want to. I think we should dedicate, this time to him as well. 91 years old, I believe he was, and a man that really been there in the vote struggle, all along the way for rights for all of us, humanity. Prayers go out to Quincy Jones and his family and the Motown family and the rest of them as well, because he did deal with them as well. So I think, we got Mr. Garfield.
All right, yes, sir. This is another invited guest,
Yes, sir.
and showed up, and whenever he's in the area, drop in. The mic is always gonna be welcome to him. Welcome, Brother Garfield. And I shouldn't have said who it is, because I'm gonna have them introduce themselves on the mic. And for those of you who don't know him,
Right here.
you will. And for those of you who do know him, right on. And man, Garfield, I'm glad you came, bro.
Thank you for inviting me.
Hey, well, the mic is all yours. I know you can pop in as we go along. We're talking about a lot of things around the elections. The fact that everybody need to get out. They can't stay out of this. Someone was raising questions about why the electors hadn't been talking more about the election. Why our electors, our local electors, they don't say nothing about the ERA, and that's Proposition 1, by the way. In fact, Councilman Wyatt was on Saturday, and he was saying that they didn't do much, and that's what the people know that. And see, it should be our electors. That's the same way they come out and ask for a vote, should come out and remind us of all the key points we need to be at. Haven't heard much from them at all. Haven't heard anything. Most of them like to be in the limelight when you have celebrity-like folks come to town. Then when they're gone, you don't hear much from them until they run again, which is shameful. But they're gonna get dealt with. I'm not saying that to make them feel down, but they ought to feel down because they haven't been doing enough to serve the people's interests. And lead among them, folks don't know, has been Kennedy and Gillibrand. That's another story. You don't have to argue with me, but if you want to, I'm up for that. I'm going to shut up on that part. And I'm going to let Brother Garfield indeed have the mic. And again, welcome. And we got Austin and got Murray and we got Latasha. And so, yeah.
Well, it's a blessing to be here.
Indeed.
I'm thankful for this
You
opportunity.
gotta put the mic close to your mouth.
Thankful for the opportunity to be here with you guys. I got here late, so forgive me for not knowing exactly what was being discussed. But absolutely, tomorrow is election day, and we need everybody to get out and to use their power, use their voice and vote. Vote your heart.
Closer to your mouth, the DJ said, the producer said.
Yeah. Closing up, kissing it.
There you go. Yes, sir. And then, and while you're talking about it, don't fail to tell us about one of your now and at the same time future endeavors that's coming up. You're running.
Yeah, well, I've been considering running for mayor, as everybody knows, and that's something that I'm still considering, very seriously considering, and talking to my community, and actually taking direction from them. So I'm going to be obedient to what God would have me to do in this moment in time. I look forward to continuing to serve this community, in an impactful way.
Yeah, I've definitely served this community as a fireman and the commissioner, I believe, at one time, and you've done great things in our community. I commend you. You just received an award from St. Joe's. I'm looking in the paper here, 1974.
Yeah.
Right? That's a long
50
time
years,
ago.
yes.
Yes. But it's a great feeling to have you sitting next to me. Our paths has always crossed in good ways, and we're here to say you're a great man of character in the city of Buffalo. Now, how can we see how we can get more youth to hear your story?
Yeah.
Your testimony, your story is greatly will be appreciative.
Yeah.
Even coming on our TV show, I think Willie Stewart had wanted you to come on the show, the open show as well. But we're gonna see how we can get you there and hear your story. So, what is your story?
My story is not any different than anybody else's, man. You know,
Mhm.
like you said, you call it a story. It's a testimony.
Yes, sir.
You know, about what God has blessed me with, how He has kept me, in spite of myself. You know, I'm just a sinner saved by grace.
Mhm.
I don't pretend to think much of myself or anything. I've been wonderfully blessed by God and by this community to have this community support. I owe a debt, to God, to my family, and to this community that I can never repay. And so that's what this work is about for me. Being grateful, being obedient, and being a servant. That's what I hold dear.
Amen. Amen.
I'm as you sit here, I'm thinking of this, not being a moment of precious memories for you, and because we're not that far away from your mother transitioning, not in the most desired way, but hey, God's will be done, and there's always reason there. I just want to ask you, how you doing personally, physically? How's it going? Because I know there's been a lot on you having to run around the country, people pulling you, and sometimes anybody that has ever experienced a death, especially of a parent, the road back is a road back, but you really have to deal with some up and downs, and you can't make it without the one who put you on the planet in the first place.
Yeah. I'm 2.5 years removed from my mother's murder, and I can hardly go anywhere without somebody expressing their condolences, wanting to give me a hug. I get a lot of attention, and what I found is that I have to be cognizant of the people whose path I cross, because the truth of the matter is that every one of us has experienced loss. Every one of us has a cross to bear. Every one of us has gone through something that we're carrying in our hearts and our minds. And for those people to put their grief and their trauma aside and to consider me is a blessing that I don't take for granted. So I'm always aware that everybody whose path and whose company I'm in is going through something similarly. So I have to extend myself to them also. On yesterday, I traveled to Binghamton, New York, 8 miles from Conklin, New York, where the shooter lived. This was my first trip there. There were people there who worked with his family, worked with his parents for many years, who knew the family. And I was there interacting. I went there with the New York State Council of Churches, talking about white nationalism and white supremacy. And I was on the panel there and spoke. And so that was a much more traumatic experience than any of the other journeys that I've been on since this happened. Just being in that community, being around those people. But it was something that I thought I needed to do. And so I carried, my mother and the other 9 souls that were lost here with me there, and put them right out in front and let them know that, these were people. Yeah. These were our loved ones. These were our, these were people that we depended on and missed dearly, and try to humanize them, in a way that they understood that this is not something that we ever will get over. This is something that we, hold people accountable for. This is something that they need to face. We face it every day. And so I felt the need to be there to make sure that they also understood what we were going through.
Your family has went through. I see all the family unity on these issues. Sometimes they might not be the one as a spokesperson, but I see your family very, your wife and your brother there on these journeys with you. And I carry some of that with me because I was there with you. I felt your cries. And I say this because when you hear a man cry, it's different. And I heard your cry, and I always tell people that you was in my arms when the announcement came, and I'm still crying now because it just comes back right to you, and I'm holding you, and I'm like, and to hear your cries, I'm like, wow, I mean, it just hits right there. And I'm like, right now I see what you're doing in the community. It's sort of like what I do when I'm doing Stop the Violence. Been to over 500 funerals and homicides in the city. And I carry those cries with me when I go to places like we just came back from Syracuse. When I have 14 young youth going with me to see how politics go, what goes on, how they make decisions about violence in our community. And so I'm on that journey with you. I'm definitely on that journey with you, and I commend you for being. I don't know if your tears will ever dry up. I mean, that's what they never can dry up. They just hit you all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
I cry all the time.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's cleansing.
Yes.
So I don't try to hide and let it happen. But we all on this journey together. You know what I'm saying? I'm standing on the shoulders of you and others who have been doing this work long before me. You know what I'm saying? Like before 514, I wasn't in this struggle. I wasn't in this fight, literally. You know what I'm saying? I felt empathy. I felt all of these things for my people in my community and that, but I wasn't really out here doing this work. You know what I'm saying? It took 514 to get me up. And that's the impetus for me being out here now. And it takes, all of us go through things in life. And the idea is to grow beyond your circumstances, beyond your apathy, whatever it is, to grow and to respond. You know what I'm saying? That's what you have to do. And so that's what I'm doing now. I don't take credit for that. You know what I'm saying? I was moved.
Yes. Yes.
Right. No, but that's exactly for everything that excites somebody. There's they feel moved within.
Right.
And the challenge that everybody has is to prove the spirit.
Right.
Move to what? Which side? And yours is showing a great reflection. Not only to service, which you've been doing, but to speaking out. Look, nice and mellow here, but if people have heard you talk in different places, it's just like at a concert. The volume can go different ways, and the emotions that come from you sharing the story is the same way. I think that is nothing unusual. And everyone, if you haven't already felt moved by some experience you've gone through, get ready. Absolutely. It may not be through a 514. It might come sweeter. It might come sour. But, we have to be moved to that strong center that's in everybody that makes us more reflective of humanity as a whole, at home, and then one can say abroad. Because if you do it in the house, if you're loving humanity around you, then, chances are, as you go out. I just think it's great. I think, something else I was thinking, you as a fireman, a lot of young people miss going in that direction because they don't know if they can do it. Some of them think the job is over their head. And as I see Austin here, I'm thinking to myself, I got ready to ask Austin, have you any friends or yourself ever thought about becoming firemen and wonder how do you get there? And so, anyway, I was just, there's so much you could bring an enlightenment to our community. I grew up in Willard Park, and while I was on the Jefferson Street side, on Spring Street, there was a fire station. Right. And as a kid, it would always marvel at, didn't know what and everything, never went to that course, but I always marveled, man,
Yeah, you see firemen, police officers as heroes and that, and sometimes, honestly, firemen take those things to heart, but I always try to I always told myself, and I always told the people that I'm, charged with leading, whatever that, we were trained to do what we did. You know what I'm saying? It's not that we were heroes. We're public servants. That's what we are. We're here to serve the public. We take an oath to serve and protect. That's what this is about. And you do these things because you get trained to do them. It's not so much because you got all, you're a hero, you got all this courage or whatever. No, you have the tools. Right. You've been given the tools to do that. And so I would suggest to anybody who is apprehensive about pursuing this as a career, there's no question that you take, you put your life on the line every time you get on that rig, as a firefighter. Some days are more dangerous than others. The truth of the matter is it is a dangerous job. But in most cases, it's a wonderful career of service to your fellow man. It's very rewarding, and it is nothing that I would have chosen for myself.
How many years did you do this firefighter?
I was 34 years.
Oh, go ahead.
34 years.
I have a perspective I'd like to share, but before I do, I'm gonna go to the phone line. So we do have a caller. So caller, you should be on the air. We getting set up. Good morning, caller.
I wanted to first of all thank you all for having me go. And then another direction, I wanted to ask the person down there on a couple of questions. One is the aspect of the and I would like to maybe a comment on that, and we're going to get our history. We talk about elections. We talk about all of our communities are still in this time with the thoughts and feelings.
Wait, before you hang up, caller, and I'm sorry because I know why we let you keep going if we're not hearing you. We're having technical difficulties. We're in here trying to get the sound coming through to the booth. So we heard bits and pieces, but if you could just maybe give us a recap so we could answer your question and be able to really kind of hear what you said in its entirety, because we're just struggling to kind of have you coming through clearly.
Question number 2, inside the room right now, the newsroom saying that the cell phone for her son is the officer trying to protect and did protect our community. We talk about the importance of all of our community coming together to try to protect each other in that spirit.
People trying to come together to protect. What is it?
Protect ourselves and our spirit.
To protect ourselves and our spirit. How can people come together to protect themselves?
Oh, how can we come together to protect ourselves and our spirit?
Well, yeah.
Okay, you want traffic?
Yeah, so first, thank you for the question, my brother. I apologize for not being able to hear you clearly. You're talking about coming together. How do we come together to protect ourselves and our spirit? I think that first and foremost, we have to learn to protect. I think this all starts with seeing ourselves and each other, appreciating humanity in each other.
I think this is a moment that's making us do so, because as we hear different discussions going on, some sound crazy, but some sound they resonate with us. We can't talk about having power in a vacuum. We can't just talk about it. We have to do some things to bring it into fruition. So as we, in this electoral moment, consider going to the polls and electing a president, we can't monkey shine around. We got to be clear on who's talking properly with ideas and things that serve our needs. There's only one candidate doing that. And whether I say her name or not, it is Vice President Kamala Harris. Those that think about talking about a third party candidate, that's a nice conversation on the side when we're not in a real fight. We're in a real fight. What you're looking at on the other side of the option is a fascist, and that's Trump. And when you look at third party candidates, they may mean well, but they can't do well because they have no way of carrying enough votes to win. Now, just because I'm telling you, you should go with Vice President Harris, I know it doesn't mean you will. But I'm telling you, if you're serious about getting centered and trying to be part of building community, this is where the drumbeat is, and this is where the action is. In community, the community is reaching out for Vice President Harris. But not only that, it's not just the president. On every level, we got to be more conscious about who we elect. I think when you're talking about building spirit, well, one of the things that break the spirit is we keep electing the same people over and over. We got folks who chaperone them through the community. They don't bring nothing. They come in and make a promise, and then they come back the next time to make another promise. They don't even bring a down payment. And they haven't fulfilled what they said they were going to do the first time. We're breaking through that now. That's what this moment is about. We had division in community because there were some who had and some who did not have.
So shame on some churches that
look, I dare say a lot of churches lost their way when they just wanted to do housing for profiteering to keep a business within the church. I'm not mad, but I'm talking about the game plan that serves our community. It can't be the churches doing all the housing.
So I'm asking you this question because it was a tradition at one time that politicians always went to a church, no matter what. They were during campaign time. They would just go to a church, say a few words, stay a few minutes, and then leave out, and then go to the next church. That same type of politics still goes on today.
Definitely.
Yes, but the churches, congregations are smaller because of COVID or whatever might take place. So now I don't see that happening too much. But this week, they went like in groups. A whole Democratic Party line went in groups to churches, and I'm like, where y'all been from the other, other months? This is what the problem comes.
It's showtime.
It's showtime, and then it.
That's supporting this other candidate, they're not going away, and that's what we that's the trick of the devil. We always want to take a step back. Now, like we did something, they continue to work, so we have to be as committed, over time to this struggle as they are.
And I totally agree, and that's one of the things why I'm community. When I say something to you, I'm not against you, but I'm with you because I know like I know who are some of the misserving people in our community, and we haven't done anything about it. And even now, we have people who want to run for position, but they won't run because they either feel they don't have the money or they don't have the clubhouse support. I would argue that, money is important, but if you got the people can get you in, and that's what's the most important. And we can't forget that. And there's nothing wrong with us sitting down people who don't deliver. Sit them down. Anyway, we gotta go to a break. I'm sorry.
Oh no, we got a call.
We still hot.
Okay.
So we still hot online. So
I will let you
I'm gonna shut up.
No, I wanted to let you be able if we're going to do
but
break so they can hear.
Because we know we've been getting tricked. And you know, people brag about re-elect me again, and then we don't look at, well, what have you really done? And they can't get by, well, I tried. No, not trying. What have you done? They don't show up in the streets. They show up for photo ops, and people know that. Many people in the street who say, oh, they're not going to change. They don't fully believe that, but what they like to see change is the people. If people start changing, they'll start listening. And that's why those who want to run for elected position, don't go by the clubhouse route. Go by the people. Let the people hear you. Let the people see you. Speak to the issues they're concerned about. You can't talk about what you're going to do if you haven't listened to hear what they say they need or what they feel they need. Even if they're wrong, if you don't listen to the people, don't be talking about what you're going to do for them and you haven't listened to them. Don't be a Trump. I'm going to protect the women. You ain't going to protect nobody. That's all hype. And we in this community should know about hype. You know, the politicians been pulling it too long, but we're in a whole new, fresh state. That's why I think you see with the folks who've never voted before, they ain't eating the same old cake. They like looking over. They looking over everything. You know, they checking out what's there. Hey, we back, and they talking.
There's a call. There's a call.
We got a call.
I said, before I even go, I'm gonna let the caller, you are on the air. Just be aware we are still having some technical difficulties. So if we may ask you to repeat it or just kind of try to pronunciate as well as you can, so we can try our best to hear you.
Speak loud.
Yeah, speak loud.
Gentlemen, this is Mother Doyle.
Hey, Dr. Doyle.
Good morning, Dr. Doyle.
Dr. Doyle, Mother Doyle, you the way you want to say it. I just want, can you hear me?
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, I want to say good morning to Mr. Gardner Whitfield. I want you to know that every year, remembering what happened on 5/14, I'm still doing the rights for the victims of the past massacre, encouraging people to turn on their porch lights. It may seem like a small thing, but everyone has to do their part so we will not remember.
Good.
We will continue to remember what happened.
Thank you.
On 5/14. I want to know that, and also in my book I have a chapter called Remembering the Victims, and I talk about this, and I have all of your names there, and because we have to remember, it's very important. So I just wanted to thank you also, Mr. Whitfield, for continuing to speak out.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to share that information with you this morning. And so I just wanted to share it with the community. And thank you for your program. I will hang up and listen to the rest of the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Doyle. And for those of you who don't know, Dr. Doyle is a former gubernatorial candidate of,
Yes.
yeah, she
Freedom.
she was with the Freedom Party.
Yes.
And Austin Maddox and Charles Barron was the candidate for governor, and she was lieutenant governor.
Yes.
And I'm just saying, folks, that's an example. With all that she does, she made herself available when asked by the people. And this is what you need to think about. If you're with the people and serving or doing things that the people feel are good, they can get you to another position to help do more good, not only with and for them, but for yourself as well. If you want to be a politician, it's the people who will get you there, not the clubhouse. They try. So, let's really break through this election. And, and even though some folks may get in that we don't like it, we're going to have another election. I'm talking locally now. Locally, we need to shake it up. And when you have a council member that can sit in this station and be on air and say that we haven't done enough talking about legislators, I think that speaks volume. If a council member can say that, then you know something is up, and we need to pay more attention and do more work to build what Conrad talked about. How do we build community and protect our spirit? You protect your spirit by working with those of the same spirit.
Awesome.
As a young person myself, I feel like with this election and even hearing about some of the history, and when you talk about the history and the work that Dr. Doyle has done, when you talk about your history, Mr. Garfin, and what you've done for the city of Buffalo, a statement that I've said a couple shows back and I'm finding is more and more true, is that history is only valuable if it's taught.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right, it has no value if it's not taught. And I hear, especially coming up this election, all I hear are people, and it's good. They talk about, like, you know, your ancestors will be blessed if you vote.
Yes.
Like, this is important for you to vote, because at one time we couldn't. But one thing I want to stress and make clear when it comes to motivations, we need a young population, a city of people who are motivated to vote, not doing it because they should, right? Just like when you look at the church, you don't want people going to church because they should want to go to church,
Baby.
right? That's what a believer looks like. I think we need to really ask ourselves some questions. If it's going to be history, then how are we teaching our history? How is that being communicated across all lines, up and down, right? There are some elders who don't know some history that we really need to know, and there are some youth who are very informed. But we need to make sure that the way that we prevent politicians from going to a church and then getting elected is we got to break down these silos that we have.
Yes.
Why is someone going to a church enough to convince a whole church group that they're actually out here?
Right.
Why aren't people who are out here saying, no, don't get swayed, man?
Yeah.
They still got more to prove. Because we got to communicate. If we want unity and to build community, we have to communicate. And I'm going to be hopeful that we're going to have an aggressive youth turnout and that we can make change in the city. But I feel like I'm still seeing remnants of the same things that I was nervous about months ago, which is that I still think a lot of people are talking to people why they should vote. They're villainizing those who don't. We're using words like they and us when it's all of us together, because we all got to go under whoever gets elected in. We got to change this rhetoric and this communication. I think it's deeper than just this is the way that things are. I think we have to even take a step back to say this is not the way that people are.
Right.
Because we're making assumptions more about the times, more about people than the times. People want to be good.
Right.
Nobody's trying to elect someone that they don't think is going to do well for our country.
Right.
Right? People want to be involved. Young people want a better tomorrow. So if we know these things, we need to do some real careful and intentional work to make sure that what we're saying, the history that we have, is being taught in a way that it reflects and is applicable today. Because that's going to be the magic key.
Man, you just said a whole volume, folks, because as you were speaking, I'm thinking, here we are, generations that when we talk, we know because we've been in that water. You haven't been in that water. So it's like a foreign conversation. And the word, and in their mind, as they think about using the body politics or the electoral process, they got creations in their mind about what could be changed for the better as they see it. But when have we asked young people, what do you think should be done? We can't just ask you that. We need to tell you how the system works. We haven't done that with you until we get down to, it's election day, you 18, you need to know this. We want to cram it in you. And heck, you're not paying attention to us on that, really. You hear us some, but you got your own vibes and your own thoughts. And I think that's huge. I think we as adults, and me, myself, I'm sucking that in really deep, even more now, because the young folks I talk to, we can tell them about the history, who we stand on. They hear us. They don't want to go that far back. They're talking about right now.
Right. And a lot of that history, just because it's history don't mean it was good.
All right.
Don't mean that it was what we needed, actually. We can tell you about how things were, how they were, but that doesn't help you get to where you need to be. It does not include you in that does not take into account your future and where you need to be. And so, we gotta include them in this discussion. They gotta have a seat at the table, and we gotta see through their eyes rather than looking backwards.
Exactly.
We gotta be able to see ahead, see forward,
Exactly.
and where we need to be, where you need to be.
That's an example I use when I talk about Black Wall Street. Most people talk about Black Wall Street, seeing it at its zenith.
Right.
But they don't talk about what it took to get there, how they had to work together and be building together, not individually, I just mine and all of that, even though they had individual thing. Yeah,
I have a-
and it,
Go ahead, finish it. Oh, can I just see your mic? Okay,
yeah.
so I'm not trying to be too much on a tangent, but let's talk about some practical applications for tomorrow. If people go out to vote, what do they need to bring?
Nothing. You don't need no ID.
Okay, when we went yesterday, if you didn't have your election card,
Wow.
right? I had my ID. I happen to own more than one property, so I didn't change my address. So I was able to say I own more than one property. I didn't change it, and they said, "Oh, we'll make an exception," right? But I think when we have these conversations, because tomorrow's going to be a lot of emotions.
Yes.
So when I say practical application, I think we need to really just walk through that really clear. Like, what if you didn't have your ID? What if you didn't have your voter card? What are your rights? No, I don't know. I'm just asking for the
That's why I
people
wanted
on
Howard
practical
here.
application,
I'm
because if it's
on
someone's
board.
first time voting and they don't know, I always like to do practical
walk away, 'cause
application.
they get
Right.
discouraged.
yeah, we
So
walk
why
away.
don't we say, make sure you have your ID.
Make
You know,
sure.
bring it with you. And if you forget it, that's one thing. But the plan ought to be to have it with you, just in case they ask for it.
So I did early voting. I early voted, and the man was like, asked me 10 times, "Who am I?" Never asked me for ID. You know what I'm saying? Everything's on the computer right now, and they look it up and they go from there and know what he said. So when it got time for me to sign my name, it didn't look right. He said, "Try it again." I scribbled it a second time. He said, "Oh, that looks good enough." So I'm trying to tell you, these tricks that are happening. You got Russia right now putting ads out about voting going on, and they're using black folks in these ads and things. AI is in effect. There's a lot of things. We have a lot of folks in our community that's going to go up there and say who they are and vote, and it's going to be some things that this is what you were talking about when you said after the vote, what's going to happen? Insurrection, whatever might take place. We got to look at this. This is the shake-up part about what you're talking about.
But we're saying but helping people.
But helping so they can be ready.
Right. So
Look, I'm right now. I'm calling the Board of Election. Yes, can I speak to Howard Johnson?
Yeah, what's this?
Tell him it's Jim Anderson. I just needed him to provide us with some information. You might be able to answer. Who am I speaking to?
My name is Nick.
Nick, this is Jim Anderson from WUFO radio show Conversations with Jim Anderson. And, we got people wanting to get questions on what should they do when they're at the polling booth tomorrow and they have a problem. Do they have to bring their ID? Are they going to be challenged to show their registration card? Is that legal, or is that not something that they have to worry about? Do you have workers doing that? Can you speak to it?
Yeah, so we do not require an ID. They can provide an ID if they like. We have a method of scanning your ID in our system, so that it's just a faster way to process. But it is in no way required for them to vote. Neither is the voter card that they receive. Just expedites the process for the day.
And so I do know that, some people have said they went to places and they were asked, to show some proof. What determines your workers asking someone that?
So it all depends on the subjectivity of it goes by person. We tell them not to ask them for ID because, like I said, it's not required to vote in New York State, but some people unfortunately will forget, or they just get tired and it makes the process quicker. So if they don't have their voter card, some people by that time just start asking them for that, which we do not want them to do.
Okay, and actually, I'm going to ask people to make a complaint to us if they encounter that, so that we can point it out that they're being tasked that way. Let me ask you this: do you have from the Board of Elections someone in every polling point of election? Is there a representative from you that is clearly identified that if people have a problem they can turn to?
So we don't have one for every polling location, just because the amount of polling locations, we don't have that many employees, but we are sent on routes. So we all go to specific towns, wards, districts in each part of the point, we will see pretty much every polling location during that day.
Inspectors.
Who would I need to speak to? Listen, we here at Power 96.5 WUFO intend in support of our community tomorrow to be helping to keep some information out there. And I'm wondering, who do we need to speak to there as a point of contact that we can share what we get? Look, we know there are a lot of threats out about what's going to happen at polling booth, and we know that it ain't all in another place. We know here in New York and Western New York, we got some cowboys as well. And we want to know, we would like to be an extension at helping to relay problems to the Board of Elections. Can you speak to that?
So I'm not really sure what you by threats do you mean. Like, are the polling locations going to be secured?
Yeah, like, so let's say someone's at the poll, they encounter a problem, and they don't get help there at the poll. And because they know this radio station is the people's station, they might call us and want to let us know. And we would like to relay it to you, but we would not like to have to jump through, please hold, call, wait, is there a point of contact that receives them? Any problems?
If you just call the same number that you just called, this is our main line. We have about 15 people answering the phone on election day.
That's 716-858-8891.
Correct.
Okay. And there's another election protection hotline. I don't know if you're aware of it. The number is 866-390-2992. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not sure. Could you repeat that number again?
Yeah, it's 866-390-2992, and it's billing itself as Election Protection Hotline. I don't know exactly what they do.
So the Election Protection Hotline is just there to ensure that everyone can vote, or people aren't protected from voting, or things of that nature, just about the people's rights being protected to vote.
Is that facilitated by your office?
No, they're not. They work with us, but they're not a part of us.
See, that's what I mean. I don't know if they're government or who or private. That's what I'm saying. We can be part of protecting ourselves in our community, and we'd like to have a contact to where we can, be part, consider like, hey, legit like them.
Right. No, that's completely understandable. So what I would do is I would call our office. We have been talking with the state police and the FBI as well about protecting polling places, and any complaint that you make to us, we will address it.
Okay. And before I let you go, is Howard around? I could give him a little shout. He knows. I came by last week, so he was expecting me. I was expecting him too. So if he's there, I just want a little shout out.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'll transfer you somewhere.
Okay. Well, he's getting
A lot done. A lot
Turn
answered.
up his speakers.
Yes.
This is, it's interesting. I don't know who the protection folks are, but I never heard them on
Somebody took
there.
the ad out.
They got an ad. I don't know.
Yes.
There's a call.
We got a caller. You on the air?
Yeah, they're a private entity just watching the polls, making sure that.
Say that again.
They're a private entity. They just watch the polls and make sure that things run smoothly.
Oh, okay. Because
They're really smart.
okay. Well, Howard's coming.
Yeah, I'll transfer you.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Tell him, caller, hold on. Hey, Howard. Can you hear me? Yeah, I was calling. We were hoping to get you today. And so while I got you, I wanted to ask you if there's some things you can enlighten the community to be aware of and be heads up about tomorrow. We talked to the Nick there who was telling us about how complaints are handled, and we can call in. But the show is expecting to be part of that protecting of our community and helping of our community. And we want people to know this is a safe spot. That if they're having a problem, they can call us and we'll help as best we can. But we're expecting the Board of Election to receive us. And I just wanted to.
Right here. I don't think that's on the radio. It's him right here.
Oh,
Yes, this is on the line.
is it? Okay. Here we. Howard?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, how are you?
I am wonderful. How are you?
All right. I don't know if you heard me talking. I was just saying we were expecting you today, but we got you now. And wonder if you could just tell us some things we need to be focused on tomorrow in terms of protecting our rights to vote and dealing with any problems we have.
Well, currently we have not had any issues at the polling locations or anything of that nature. We are dialed in with our local law enforcement, state officials, and the FBI. So folks can be assured that we're going to have a safe election. Our polling sites are prioritized, by the police department. If something was to occur, they will be there, Johnny on the spot. So that's one thing we don't have to worry about. And we've been in constant communication with them every day. There's an anticipation of lines. So what I want to encourage folks to do, that voter registration card that they received in the mail, and take it with them, or their driver's license. It will make the trip quicker. You can get in and out a lot more quicker than.
Hey, Howard, let me ask you something. Let me ask you on that point. Because we were just told that they're not required to have any ID with them, and that the poll workers have been told don't ask for it. And we know that's usually a big problem when it comes to us, that they get there and they be asked for something that they shouldn't even be asked for, and that they don't have on them, then they can't vote.
No, that's not the case.
What's the case?
I'm just saying that for a quicker situation in the line. Sometimes it might be lines there. So what we found out during this process is that those voter cards and driver's license, they would scan them. You don't need them. If you don't have them, you still have their right to vote. They're still going to service you and get you in and out. But I'm just saying for a quicker part of the process, their voter registration card, what they call a fast vote card, because it scans your ID, populated, your name will pop up, and you can just sign and get your information quicker as opposed to them typing your name in and stuff like that. But you do not need the cards if you don't have them. If you don't have them, I know that we at the Board of Elections send every eligible voter a voter registration card, and if they did take that to the poll, they will be able to use it. But it's not necessary.
Okay.
So we did have another line. We had in the Challenger electric protection hotline. Howard, how you doing? It's Murray. And the number came up 866-390-2992. Now, what is that number? Because some people see this in our Challenger that we always read and call that number if they have a problem. So this is not the number to be calling. They should be calling the direct number. What is your number?
There was a couple of hotline numbers there. One, that number, that 866 number is probably to the AG's office. If somebody went to the poll locations and they seen something and wanted to report something, they can do that. And we have we'll work relationship with the AG's office, where the local AG's office, where they would get the complaint. We filled it as well. Elections.erie.gov is the other site that you can go on once it's for. And I don't have the direct our number, but I think it's 8829 is the pot number right out front where you can get someone.
Great.
858-8829.
So Howard, the last time, what polls open up at what time, and what time do they close?
So polls open up tomorrow at 6 o'clock and they close at 9 p.m. If they're and here's the caveat to that. If it's after 9 and folks are still online, we're going to service everyone in those lines. So there's not a.
Oh, they won't cut off.
Right. There's no cutoff. We're not going to say, it's 9 o'clock. We can't service you folks. Whoever's in line at that time, we're still going to service those folks. So there's, the cutoff. There's no It closes at 9, but there's no cutoff.
Thank you.
If they are in line.
Thank you for that.
Well, and I should tell you, any calls we get at the radio station, we're gonna call right to the Board of Elections. Okay? Because listen, look, you got those who don't mean well in this election. And like I mentioned earlier on air, they're right here in this area too. And we expect there's gonna be some kind of iggy wiggy stuff and going on. You got me? And so you got it?
I'm sorry.
No, I just said you could tell everybody up there at the board, they're gonna get a call. They get a call from us. It's legit for them to act on it.
There's a caller.
We got a call on the air. I don't know if that's for him, baby. Hey, Howard, stay with us. We got a call on the air, and they may have a question that we need to give to you. And thank you. Caller, you on the air? Hey, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, caller. Well, go ahead.
My first comment for that is, Eddie Castro, you want to know her whereabouts, how she is. She provided some very valuable community call-ins and regarding the issues in the community. And second question I wanted to talk about is that the election itself, those questions on the bond, those questions we're supposed to vote for, what do they call? They're written and complete legally. We don't know how to read. It's a lot of things we don't know how to decipher on our level. And our elected officials that said nothing about anything. So those two questions I would appreciate. And I'm glad you bring up on your program the importance of talking about the election itself, how we navigate these many things that we're concerned with. Thanks for that. I'll be listening to you on the air. To your comments.
Okay, thank you. Let me add something else to what you wanted questions on. Howard, while we have you, a big thing that people have been asking about is the so-called new jail or no jail. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, what I would encourage individuals to do is to actually look into the paper. There was a feasibility study done to talk about that new jail. There was about 5 options that they came up with the feasibility study. And you know, that's about the gist of it as of right now. Right now, the feasibility study is done. There are 5 potential options that's on the table to deliberate on, and that's going to be done with the general public and the county administration and with the sheriff's office as well. So it's going to be a trying situation, a three-pronged situation where the community have an opportunity to weigh in on it. The county executive administration and the general public, county executive office administration, and the legislature, who has to vote on any of this. So they're going to take the opinion of the public to delineate. But this is nothing nobody is that's going forward at this moment. They just want to report what the findings of the feasibility study.
Okay. Hey, Howard, I excuse me for interrupting you. I want to thank you. We're at the end of our program, but I do want to get you to talk more, bring more information about the prison, because people don't know, and you were a main figure around when working on issues around the jail. So it would be an honor, and so if you can give us either next week, the week after, like the 18th. If you can do the 18th, we could talk more about it. Okay.
November 18th, I'm marking it down.
All right.
Go Unity.
All right. That's all we got.
All right.
Thank King Shad for always holding it down and giving us a little extra. But I have to do like they say in the restaurant, tip, big tip. Hey, don't listen to me. I'm off air now, I think. Ain't we
Yeah,
off
you
air?
off. You
Oh,
off.
okay.
He got it.
King be playing music now.
All right. We done.
Shut it down.
Yeah, you guys.